Baby Boomer fans, we are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake. And about the 1950s, welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Hello, friends. We're thankful and grateful that you are joining us today for another history lesson, you might say, during the 1950s Fun Chat. And let's say that they might want to fly away with us today. Right, Jackie?
Hi, everyone. I would like to remind you to cast your eyes to the bottom and see the website, www.whilethewindmillwatched.com is a place where you can find all sorts of information about the authors of the book, which is up in the corner that you can see, about the fun chats. In fact, this is 206. I think we've been interviewing and expanding our history of rural America, of places where we will be signing books, and also vendors throughout the, well, not exactly the world, but we have quite a few vendors. So do check out the 1950s, the .com below here. The book, While the Windmill Watched, A Slice of Rural America in the 1950s, is what spurred the 1950s Fun Chats. So you'll do pick it up and learn some information about rural America in the 1950s. But today, as Janine said, we're going to fly away with our guests. Being raised in a military family offers many opportunities to learn United States geography. Born in 1984 in Tacoma, Washington, Jenna Grindberg resided in Washington State, California, Texas, Mississippi, and North Dakota. Her dad retired after 20 years of service in the Air Force and stayed in Minot, North Dakota, which is mostly why Jenna resides in Minot with her husband of 19 years and their two children, a 16-year-old daughter who's about to start her junior year in high school, and an 11-year-old son who's about to start 6th grade. Jenna has lived in North Dakota for 26 years. Jenna graduated from Minot High School in 2002 and earned a bachelor's degree in history and a minor in sociology with a concentration of philosophy from Minot State University. She's in the process of applying for graduate school to begin on her master's degree in World War II studies, which happens to be her specialty at the North Dakota Territory Air Museum, of which she is the director. World War II aviation is a special interest. The museum setting allows her to fulfill a desire of her youth, that of being a historian. So Jenna, welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. We're looking forward to this. So we'll begin with a multifaceted question concerning the Dakota Territory Air Museum. How and when and who and why?
Sure. So the museum was founded in 1986, and there were a number of founders. Primarily, it was Don Larson, Warren Peach, and Al Peach. Those were the three main founders of the museum. Don and Warren are still heavily involved in the museum. Don is now 88 years old, and Warren is, he's in his 60s. I guess I don't know his exact age, but he's in his 60s now. And then unfortunately, Al did pass away in the early 90s. But the museum has only grown since then. Now we have a board of directors with 13 individuals, plus me as the museum director. And we are just looking to grow every year and try to make this the premier attraction in Minot. So it's been a lot of fun for me over the last few years.
And why? Why did they start this museum?
Oh, it's funny how they started the museum. At least the story that I was told was they started the museum because Warren and Al operated a flight school here in Minot. And what was happening was they had people who were bringing like military artifacts over to the flight school, just kind of looking for a place to take them instead of just throwing them away. So between Warren and Don and Al, they all kind of just decided, well, why don't we start a museum? That would make the most sense, so that we've already got this start with these artifacts that are here. Plus, there's not really anywhere else to put them. So that's kind of how the museum came to fruition. Was that they started with some military uniforms, and they ran out of room to store them, so they started a museum.
So is this museum located on the Air Force Base?
It is not. We're actually located on the north side of the airport.
Okay.
Yep. The Air Force Base is about 8 miles north of us.
Okay. All right. And what all types of items are in the museum as far as World War II items?
Oh man, we've got anything from, we've got uniforms, we've got hats, we've got just about any kind of accessory you can think of that people would have used, from gloves to gas masks, and I mean just about everything. It's pretty crazy. The cataloging process as far as these artifacts are concerned has been a primary focus for me during the off season for the museum. And as of right now, I've cataloged over 15,000 items.
Wow.
Just in our archive. And I'm not done. I've still got I'm about halfway through the archive. So
are folks still contributing items to the museum?
Yes, we get stuff donated and loaned all the time.
And in what era do you consider them to be museum appropriate? What time era?
That's a good question. It's anything really, to be completely honest with you. We've, for the most part, our artifacts, like the oldest stuff that we have, dates back to about World War I, so 19 teens. And we've got things from present day. So I've had folks who are maybe retiring or getting out of the Air Force now, and they don't know what to do with their uniform, so they bring them to me. So we've got these items from over 100 years ago to things on display that are current. But if somebody had something that was from the 1800s, it's not something we would turn away. It is, as long as it's a part of North Dakota's history, especially if it's Minot history, then it's important to keep, at least preserve for us.
Okay. So speaking of turning away, what if you all of a sudden find yourself with a dozen World War II uniforms? Or do you ever say, we have plenty of those, thanks, but no thanks, or what?
Yeah, unfortunately, it does happen, for sure. I do have dozens of World War II uniforms, and duplication can be an issue. So that is a regular part of the collections process, is going through and assessing the collection and de-assessing what isn't necessary. However, that being said, we don't throw things away. We reach out to other institutions to see if they want these items. So we will find a home for it, whether it's local. It's not always the case. Sometimes, we have to send stuff across the country, but at least that way we know it's going to another institution.
Right. So that sounds like a full-time job for an employee. Just finding other homes.
Jenna, perhaps.
Yes.
Do that.
What do you have from the 1950s era?
So the 1950s, it's interesting. We actually don't have much from the 1950s. That's actually one of the areas that I'm seriously lacking in for artifacts. I have some things. Now, primarily what we have here are military artifacts. We're not primarily a military museum, but that's what mostly gets donated to us, and that's okay. We love being able to tell people's stories, especially their service stories. But for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because there weren't a lot of people involved, but from that time period, at least in Minot anyways, we actually don't have a lot of items from the 50s. But the things that we do have, it's almost all military. We've got some Korean War era uniforms that have been donated to us, Air Force uniforms, Army uniforms, and then just some, well, that's really about it, to be honest with you. We've got some other little collected, like a flag that somebody brought back from Japan when they were stationed there in the 50s. And that's really about it. We don't have much.
So you're needing.
So what other things would you like to have?
Yes.
I'm open for anything.
If it was involved in the 50s.
Yes. Because
From the Korean War?
Sorry?
From the Korean War?
Yes. Preferably, because it's a story that is often goes untold.
Yes.
And you know, they don't call it the Forgotten War for no reason. It is one that people tend to forget about. And there's very few Korean War veterans left anymore. You got to think that our Korean War veterans are in their 90s. I mean, they're right up there with our World War II veterans. In fact, a lot of World War II veterans ended up becoming Korean War veterans as well. So we are, there's not very many of them left, but we're open to anything that can help bolster our Korean War exhibit, or anything to not exemplify, but enhance that display from that period.
Do you ever put out an SOS for needing certain things?
I have done that before.
ATV.
And like, I've spoken with our local DAV chapter and our local VFW, and I have put those feelers out, and it has netted some artifacts from people, but nothing from the 50s.
That's interesting.
A lot of Vietnam War era stuff, like from the 60s and 70s, which is great. Because I would hate to see that stuff get thrown away or get lost with time. But
do you have an art exhibit in the museum also?
We do have an art exhibit in the museum, yes. Our primary art exhibit is the Scott Nelson Art Gallery. Scott Nelson is a North Dakota artist, of course, who painted, I guess, World War II scenes based off of interviews that he did with North Dakota aviators who served in World War II. So we have a lot of his original paintings in the Scott Nelson Art Gallery, which is within our Flying Legends hangar where all of our World War II aircraft are at.
How fun for you to have that.
Absolutely.
And are they signed? Did Scott sign them or numbered them or anything like that?
So since they are originals, they are signed.
Okay.
And they're not numbered because these are the one of a kind. These are the original artwork, art pieces. We do have prints of some of these pieces, and those are numbered.
Okay. All right. Did Scott volunteer to have these paintings there, or did you seek him and desire something like that?
That is a really good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I'll have to ask him, because that was before my time.
Sure.
I've been at the museum for about almost 5 years, and the Scott Nelson Art Gallery was already a thing when I started. So I don't know, I guess, what the premise is for him putting the artwork on display, whether we asked him or he came to us. But yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to talk to Scott about that.
Do you invite school tours? Do you offer school tours or tours for other groups?
We sure do. We do a lot of them, actually, especially in the springtime. I call it school tour season, generally from about the end of April until the middle of May, right before school gets out here in North Dakota. We generally have about anywhere between 700 and 1,000 kids come through the museum in that time frame. And it gets pretty hectic for me because I'm the sole tour guide for the museum. So it gets a little hectic. I do have a helper that helps me with big groups of people. But yes, it gets pretty busy. And we do tours for other groups like bus tours and whatnot as well. But the school groups that we do are probably, I would almost say, are our most important. And we offer those tours to school groups for free because we want them here in the museum and we want them to know or at least learn some of the history. And there shouldn't be a paywall for them. So
okay. Do you find that your location is just perfect and for what you are offering to the public? Does the public find you easily or
would they go about knowing that there is a Dakota Territory Air Museum?
It's an interesting question it's going to be an interesting answer. So
Okay,
it's,
we're ready.
it seems like it's hard for people to find us. I think our location is perfectly fine. We're on the north side of Minot. We're not hard to find. If you can find the airport, you can find us. But the last couple of years I've been doing a survey with people who come through the museum, and it's on our sign-in sheet that when people sign into our guest book. And the question is, how did you find us, or how did you hear about us? And that was an easy way for me to figure out how it is that people either hear about us or know that we're here. And that has helped me to understand that even though this museum's been here for the better part of 40 years, especially locally, people don't know we're here, which is kind of interesting. It's really weird to me. Because for me, being the huge aviation nerd that I am, I've always known that this place was here. I've gone here every year since we moved here. And so it was always a special place to me. And the fact that even locally, there are people that come here that are from here or have lived here a long time or whatever. And they come here and I'm like, oh, hey, is it your first time, or have you been here before? Oh, it's my first time. I'm like, what? What do you mean it's your first time? And it's interesting. We're actually almost more well known on a national and international level than we are on a local level. So that's an image we're actually working to change.
So how did you become nationally known?
So over the last 10 years, our aircraft collection has grown significantly. And as part of that, the biggest area of growth happens to be our World War II aircraft. And all of our planes fly. That's kind of what sets this museum apart from a lot of other aviation museums. And then our World War II aircraft in particular have become very well known. They perform across the country, actually across the world. They've gone other places as well, outside of the United States to perform. But the gentleman who owns a lot of the World War II aircraft and is currently still, putting money and things into active restorations on more of them, has really put a lot of faith into this museum to house these airplanes and take care of them and to showcase them. So through those primarily, and that's not the only reason, but it's a big part of our museum. This museum has grown to be known on a national and international level as being the home to a lot of these warbirds, these World War II aircraft that you can't see anywhere else in the world. So some of them.
So are they undercover, or are they outside, or some of both?
Oh, no, they're all inside.
How did you find the building, or have you just been adding on to a smaller building?
Adding on. So when the museum was founded, of course, there were no buildings, but then the first building came along, and then an addition came along, and then another addition, and then an addition to that addition. And then the last building was built in 2013. And that's the one that houses the World War II planes.
So how are these additions funded?
They're all funded through donation.
My.
Yeah, so the museum is a nonprofit organization, and everything that we do, every light we turn on, every airplane that we take care of, all of it is all funded primarily through donation and fundraising. Of course, admissions and gift shop sales and all that play a small part in that. But if it wasn't for our donors and our fundraising, this would not exist, plain and simple.
Jenna, how do you take care of those planes that are there? You said you'd have to take care of them. How do you go about doing that?
It can be a very complicated process, but since we have an active fleet here, so I'm going to estimate that about 75% of our aircraft, and we've got about 50 airplanes here, about 75% of those still fly. So taking care of them can be anything from washing them, cleaning them, dusting them, to maintenance on the aircraft, especially the ones who are flying on a regular basis. And we do have a dedicated team of maintainers who typically not only fly the airplanes, but they also do the maintenance on them. And they come in from all over the country to do that stuff. So
Interesting. Have you been up in the air in any of those planes?
yes.
Oh, you fly.
Your face lights up.
Yes, I'm actually a student pilot right now. I'm very close to finishing my pilot's license. I've only got a few more things left to do. I'm hoping to have it wrapped up here by maybe the end of September. I'm pretty close.
Oh, fun for
Yep.
you.
And that's a different kind of plane than what you have housed. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I fly Cessna 172. But yeah, here the one I've flown in I got a ride in a P-51 Mustang, and then back in June for my birthday, actually, my boss took me up in the P-40 Warhawk, which is my favorite airplane. So I was pretty thrilled about that.
What makes it your favorite airplane?
Yeah.
You know, I get asked that question a lot because it's not a lot of people's favorites, but it's been my favorite since I can remember. Since I was little, it's been my favorite. And there's just something about it. I don't know what it is about it that I've always loved the look of it, the sound of it. And I don't know, there's just something about it that is beautiful. And it's hard to find beauty in something that was meant to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard to find beauty in something. Yeah, that was meant to be a weapon. That's a good way to put that. That's actually the perfect way to put that. But for me, it was easy to find the beauty in it because somebody created that. There was a lot of time that went into it. And then with our P-40 in particular here at the museum, I know its backstory. I know its history, and that's the human side of it. And the human side of the machine is the side that, you know, we really should be thinking about. So,
So I was just wondering if there's an emotional story connected with that, or it's just something that you can't put your hands on.
As far as me liking the P-40, no, not really. There's not really I have an emotional attachment to this airplane that we have here, not gonna lie. But like, I don't know. I really can't put my finger on why that specific airplane is my favorite. It's just been my favorite since I was little. I got my first tattoo was a P-40, and that was when I was like 19 years old. And I actually used that in my job interview here, by the way.
Well, that's effective, evidently.
It didn't. I don't think it hurt my prospects. No.
Do you have a Rosie the Riveter tattoo on you?
I don't, but that's not a bad idea.
There we go.
Okay. Go ahead, Jenny.
You have any planes that were built specifically by women in that era of the 40s?
More than likely. It's difficult to know that, though. Unless somebody left an indelible mark inside of the aircraft, you know, if they left a signature or something, which I don't believe any of ours do have any of those marks in the inside. But when you consider that, you know, during the 40s or during World War II, it was mainly women working in the factories, churning out these airplanes at a ridiculously rapid rate that we can't fathom today. The chances that any one of these aircraft were built by a woman are probably pretty good. They just may not have made their personal mark on the aircraft.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as a historian, what is your mission for this museum?
That is an awesome question, and I love it. And you know, the museum itself has a mission statement, and primarily that is to educate. Educate, inspire, and just in general pass along the history. But for me personally, as a historian, and I'm going to get a little deep on this for a second, so I'm sorry, but not sorry.
That's okay. I asked the question.
Yes. So for me, and having two kids in school right now, for me, it seems like history is either not being taught much, or it's not being taught really the way it should be. A lot of it's watered down, it seems like, anyways. Just going off of what my kids are telling me that they're learning in school, it's hard for me to believe that the curriculum the way it is, at least with my personal experience and their experiences in school now. A lot of my knowledge came as an adult, through my own, learning processes and my own desire to research and learn more and more and continue to learn more. And as a historian, and as somebody who has the opportunity and the privilege to run a museum, to be able to teach other people this history that's being forgotten, that would be my primary goal, is to make sure that, these people's stories aren't forgotten, to make sure that Donald Emerson, who flew P-51s in World War II, who was from Pembina, North Dakota, was killed December 25th, 1944, isn't forgotten. To make sure that Harry Eck, who flew B-17s in Germany, who was shot down and killed from Minot, North Dakota, isn't forgotten. Those are the little stories that you aren't going to A, hear about in the history books, and B, who else is going to tell the story?
Right.
So for me, that's the most important aspect. It's the human aspect of it. A lot of times, we talk about the machines and the things that were behind it, the political processes that are behind these things. But then we have to remember that we as a people are tied to this history. And the farther we get away from that time period, obviously, the farther away that history becomes, the more detached from it we become.
Yeah.
So, and it's already happening, or happened with the First World War, because that was over 100 years ago. And now World War II is closing in on, 80, 85 years ago. And a lot of our World War II veterans are gone. We have very few left. So that detachment is almost complete. And it's my job and it's my duty as a historian to make sure that doesn't happen, at least not from me, So it makes me a little bit emotional, but that's what I'm going to do. So,
okay. So, and your job is to resurrect the passion of the human feeling beside the mechanical ability of a plane.
Do you, when you have students come on the tours, do you allow any of them to get into the planes?
Yes, we have hands-on activities. We don't have a ton of them, but we do have a number of hands-on exhibits that kids can get into and put their hands on flight controls. And it's great because then it's something tangible. It's something that, once you put something in your hands, then that process of thought comes that, oh, this is real. It's not just an air show, or it's not just, something I'm watching in the movies. It's real, and people do this, and I could do this. So yes, we do. And we encourage kids to get hands-on with some of these exhibits. Of course, we can't with all of them because, especially with our flying aircraft, we have to keep those in the best condition as possible. So we don't have anything hands-on for our flying aircraft, but we do have some displays that people can get into and, mess around with the controls and have a little bit of fun.
Well, that would be fun. Yes. Speaking of fun, Jackie, do you have any more questions, or can we start?
I do. I have another one before our tours. That is, what role did North Dakota, and Minot in particular, continue to play during and after World War II, and especially during the Cold War?
Great question. So, Minot Airport has been here for a long time. 1903, the Wright brothers took their first flight. By 1910, Minot had an airport. So, it was real early that Minot had an airport. So we go all the way up to World War II in the 1940s, and our airport was an important stopping off point for a lot of aircraft that were traveling either up through Canada or coming back from Canada, and up in Alaska and back, and overseas too, for that matter. So this airport, even though there was no military base here yet, this airport was a refueling stop for a lot of aircraft. I found a picture online that somebody had shared. I guess I should say they shared a picture of a Boeing B-29 sitting right out here in our airfield in like 1945. It was winter time, but it was out here, and it was just here on a refueling stop. So it has a pretty important military background, and that was even before the Air Force Base was here. Plus, Minot State University, then it was called Minot State College, had a flight training program during World War II that was associated with the university. And actually, strangely enough, it was a naval training program, not an Army program. So I don't know a lot of the history on that. I'm still learning some of that, but I do know that that existed because I have some of the roles from that. So, and then Cold War era, late 1940s, 50s, all the way up, I guess, to the 80s, really. Minot Air Force Base was built in 1955, I think it was. And maybe it was I think it was 1955 is when it was completed. And the base, Minot Air Force Base, was one of those strategic locations along the United States northern tier. So there's Minot Air Force Base here. There's Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. And then there are other ones that have since closed. They're not in existence anymore, that are along our northern tier that became vital to national defense. And the B-52 was stationed here not long after the base was constructed. We had the 5th Fighter Interceptor Squadron, which was exactly that. It was a fighter squadron that was based here from pretty much the time the base was built until the late 1980s, the end of the Cold War. And then we also had aerial refueling aircraft here as well. I think those actually pulled out a little bit earlier. But the idea was to have, and we also have the missile fields here.
Yes.
We, North Dakota, at least from what I've been told, if North Dakota were to break away from the Union and become its own country, the state of North Dakota would be the 3rd or 4th largest nuclear power in the world because of what we have here. That might not be the case anymore, but I remember that statistic from a while back, and I've never forgotten it because it's kind of wild to think that. But during the Cold War, deterrence, nuclear deterrence, and of course, patrolling our northern borders. That was the whole mission of Strategic Air Command and defending against the Soviet, the Soviet Union. Of course, as the Cold War started to wind down, a lot of these Strategic Air Command bases began to close, but Minot has remained a strategic point for these things. We no longer have the fighter squadron here, nor do we have the tankers, but we still have the B-52. We're one of only 2 B-52 bases left in the United States. The other one being in Louisiana. And then we're one of only, I think, 2 nuclear bases. I'm probably wrong on that. But we have a very large missile field here in North Dakota. And those are the 2 primary missions now, are the bombers and the missiles. Those are the 2 primary missions. And everybody that's here is here to support that mission.
Very important for the safety of our country.
Absolutely. Vital defense and I guess vital offense for that matter. B-52, it's a 75-year-old airplane, and here we are still rocking them. So
Yeah.
Massive. They are massive.
They are. My brother's a
Yes.
P-52 pilot, and
Oh,
it's really interesting to talk with him about those airplanes because, they're old, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's 2025 and they're still going.
Yeah. I saw one of those in the air just a couple days ago.
really? Wow.
Really? Yeah. I'll mention more about that later.
Well, let's go on this tour because
Yeah.
we're shorting ourselves on time. Let's
I told you I can talk.
and
Well,
we do too. So where would you like to take us to show us the items in the museum?
I'll take you around a couple of the buildings. We'll take you around and show you a couple of maybe a little bit in the artifact room and maybe a couple of the big hangars here, and show you what we have because that's we got a lot of stuff to look at. So
Well, the other day when I had been talking to you, I was seeing these cute little airplanes and they're hanging from the ceiling, and I thought, how appropriate.
oh
Yeah.
yes, I'll go over there and I can pan up on us. Yeah, we've got when people walk into the museum, we've got all these airplanes hanging from the ceiling, and they're all model planes
Okay.
that were built by one gentleman, and he built them all to scale with each other. So he, they look very nice, and it kind of sets that mood that you're in an air museum, right? So
Mm.
Is that a mannequin in the background behind you, or is that a real person
oh no, those are mannequins.
dressed in that? Yeah, that guy was right there in the man. Oh,
It looked like his eyes were moving.
Oh no, these are actual these are some of the modern day things that we have. So like this gentleman here, this is we have a helicopter squadron based here as well, and they're part of the security forces, and this is one of their very recent uniform. This was just donated to us a couple of months ago, so I put him up on display. And then this is just another security forces. This would be a 91st Missile Wing Security Forces uniform. And these are the guys, the helicopter squadron, the 54th helicopter squadron, and then the 91st security forces. They work together to help protect the missile fields and whatnot. So they're kind of a very important part of the security of our facility, or the base's facilities, I should say. Mm-hmm. But we've got showcases full of artifacts, and I said I had cataloged over 15,000 items, but I don't have that much on display. It's, I guess I don't know how many I've got on display, but it's not 15,000. You'd be here all day. But we've also got a Wright Flyer replica in here. One of only two here in the state. This one was built here at the museum in 2003 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of flight. So it's full-scale replica of the airplane. And actually, we just put up that mural behind it so that you could, kind of see what it looked like when they were flying it in Kill Devil Hills.
Just imagine the Wright brothers.
What's that?
Putting into practice and creating the idea that they had in their mind that we could fly, that we could get off the ground and fly.
Yeah, it's pretty you think about it, especially when you consider where we are now with flight. Yeah,
you bet.
Now the next building, this is our Elker hangar. We've got about 40 airplanes in this room. So we're not going to talk about all of these things, but we've got airplanes suspended from the ceiling, hanging out here all over the floor. And a lot of these airplanes still fly. So,
Jenna, how do you go about suspending an airplane like that?
Now, to be fair, I have not seen one being suspended since I've been here, but I would have to, pretty sure what they'll do is they'll just take a crane, and we've got big doors. So that's a big door right there. And we can pull anything in and out of here that we need to, and including cranes, because I've seen them bring a crane in here when we replaced our lighting a couple of years ago. And then they'll, use the crane to lift the airplane up and suspend it from the ceiling with steel. It's steel cabling, so not going to be anything silly going on up there. We don't exactly live in earthquake land or anything, so.
The orange plane behind you looks like it has quite a few pals on it. Do those represent anything special?
Yeah, so this airplane, the Polar Pumpkin, is this airplane was actually flown by North Dakota native Art Mortvedt. He flew scientific missions for NASA and a university in Europe. I can't remember the name of it. I'm really sorry, but he flew this airplane to both the North Pole and the South Pole, landing at both places. And this is the only airplane, single engine airplane to have ever done that with the same pilot at the controls.
Wow. Okay.
And you have an Alaska flag there.
Yes, he currently lives in Alaska. And he is, as far as I know, he's retired. And he just kind of flies for fun now. He usually comes and visits the museum once a year, and he'll take the airplane out and start it up, make sure it's good to go.
Sure.
Yeah, we've got that. It's pretty historic aircraft anyway. It's beautiful, and it definitely stands out. You can see why it's called the Polar Pumpkin anyways, right?
Well, right.
Is your favorite plane in this building?
Nope. It's in the last one I'm going to take you to.
Okay.
We're just going to take a quick walk around here, and then I'll take us over to the Warbird hangar. But yeah, we've got
impressive
all kinds of stuff, and we've got helicopters and fire trucks.
Pretty. It looks like a candy peppermint helicopter.
You know, I never thought of that before. It kind of does. Yeah. Sorry, I had to take a look back at it, and you're right.
Everything is so pristine looking.
Yes.
Do you have to dust the planes quite regularly?
Oh, yes.
This is North Dakota.
And they get the love they need. We do try to take as good a care of them as we can, because they don't all belong to us. Some of these airplanes are on loan, so they belong to private owners. And we just try to keep them in the best condition that we possibly can, because if they're willing to trust us with their airplanes, then we need to make sure we can, live up to that. So, yeah.
Are there? I maybe you covered that, and I missed it. Are there other museums like this in the United States?
Yes, there are lots of aviation museums in the United States. Matter of fact, we're one of two in North Dakota. Fargo has one called the Fargo Air Museum. But I have no idea how many air museums there are around the country, but there are quite a few of them. Probably some of them are well-known ones. Would be the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And then there's the Pima Air and Space Museum down in Arizona. Goodness, what's another? The Hill Air Force Base Museum in Utah. And what's the other one I'm trying to think of? There's one in California that's really well known as well. But yeah, there's air museums all over the country.
There's a Boeing Air Museum in Seattle.
Yes, there is. That sure is. Payne Field. I've been there before. That's a nice place.
Have you made it your mission to go to some of these other air museums to get ideas to use as in your occupation?
I do when I can. I'm pretty busy with
the wind does blow.
I'm taking us to the last of the Warbird hangar here.
Okay.
I travel as often as I can, and if we're going to go, we're actually going to be going to Hawaii here in a couple of weeks, me and my husband and kids, and uh-oh, did I lose you?
We're experiencing part of North Dakota.
Yeah, we're hearing the wind of North Dakota, that incessant wind.
I'm sorry. Of course it's windy.
Beautiful
I'm
day,
pretty-
though.
Yeah,
It
beautiful
is a
day.
nice day today. I get you an overview of the museum grounds. We've got quite a bit of acreage. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So in this hangar, thanks for bearing with me, is our World War II airplanes.
Oh.
We've got anything from the Supermarine Spitfire to the P-51 Mustang, including this blue bombshell here, the Thunderbird. This was Jimmy Stewart's airplane, actually.
Oh my.
He owned this airplane in the late 40s. And, well, Mr. Warren Peach had it restored and flies it now. That's his baby.
And it's called the Blue Bomber?
Let's see. What else? No, its name is Thunderbird. I call it Blue Bomber, though.
Okay.
We've got the Wildcat here, another World War II era fighter plane. This one here happens to be the only one of its kind flying in the world today. What else? P-47 Thunderbolt, Miss Bonnie. This is the only one of its kind flying in the world today. And we've got C-53, the Harvard, the Hawker Hurricane. That's one of only 3 here in the United States that's flying right now. And then last, but certainly not least, is my favorite airplane, my P-40 friend.
Oh, that's what that airplane is. I
Yep.
love that kite.
Yep, this is my favorite airplane right there. Such a beautiful thing.
Looks like it means business when it's in the air.
Yes, it does.
It does mean business, but it's a beautiful plane. And as we were discussing a little bit ago, the Skylson Art Gallery.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So all of his paintings here. And we've got the stories next to him. Some people can learn the stories instead of, just looking at the paintings, even though they are beautiful. It's hard to know the story without it being told. So
Yes, for sure. For
we've
sure.
got all these paintings, and these are
Very
all
prolific.
originals. So
Well, he has quite a love for World War II planes.
he does.
Planes.
That he does. Yeah, he has a big heart, and he definitely has done a lot as far as preserving a lot of World War II history with the interviews that he did with these veterans before they passed away.
Well, Jenna, it's time to end our fun chat. Has this been fun? We thank you so much for all your wonderful knowledge, and not only that, but let me get the in full screen off full screen here so we can see us. And not only that, it's just the fact that all this beautiful planes that you have on hand and memorabilia, air memorabilia is phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. This is a first for me. So
You're welcome. Yeah. Your passion is definitely there. And we're grateful for you sharing that. Thank you. So friends, thank you for joining us online. And next time you'll be treated to another educational story. And we've covered the gamut. Plus, we have so much more out there to talk about. But anyway, do tell your friends and even your relatives about this 1950s fun chat. So until next time, toodaloo.
Bye-bye.